Rapper NBA Youngboy has been arrested in Louisiana. A judge in Baton Rouge ordered the rapper, whose real name is Kentrell Golden, back into custody on suspicion of violating his probation from a shooting 3 years ago.
Judge in Utah has sentenced the rapper NBA Youngboy to 23 months in prison on gun charges.
NBA Youngboy has always lived on the edge. But when reports surfaced that the Baton Rouge rapper was facing a staggering 63 charges and up to 250 years in prison, the hip-hop world was sent into a frenzy.
He's not able to defend his name, bro, and it be a lot going on within his name about him. When to me, bro, he a real stand-up dude, and it was just unfortunate how shit happened.
Firearms deeds, alleged gang ties, and a history of run-ins with law enforcement painted a picture that prosecutors were more than eager to use against him.
There is a lot of drama surrounding him and the guys that he associates with.
But was it all justified? Or was Youngboy being targeted as another young black artist rising too fast for the system's liking? Let's break it all down. Even without the chart-topping singles and alleged baby mamas, Youngboy never broke again, knows how to make a headline. The superstar rapper is almost just as well known for his run-ins with the law as he is for his emotionally tormented music at this point. In fact, it's part of what kickstarted his career in the first place.
I woke up one morning, I was like, damn, they got me. Man, look at the spoke about, look at the put in these people's ears.
At only 20 years of age, NBA Youngboy, born Kentrell Deshaun Golden, had amassed a diverse criminal record, which he has partially contested, with his alleged illicit conduct landing him in hot water once again. We're taking a look at what brought the Baton Rouge, Louisiana native into such a challenging spotlight over the years.
I'm not famous. I don't think about it. I just have a lot of people that know me.
On May 12, 2019, gunfire erupted outside the Trump International Beach Resort in Miami. And in the chaos that followed, one man lay dead, NBA Youngboy's girlfriend was wounded, and the rapper himself was thrust into yet another high-profile legal battle. The headlines painted the usual picture, rapper involved in deadly shootout. But the reality was far more complicated and possibly far more sinister.
Attempted shooting of NBA Youngboy, who was down there, and this shooting went down near the Trump Beach Resort in Miami.
NBA Youngboy's girlfriend allegedly got shot in the shoulder, and then...
Wait a minute, did she get shot? I mean, do we know?
She was transported to the hospital.
Youngboy's team insisted it was self-defense, but authorities wasted no time making him the center of their investigation. Was this just another case of a rapper caught in the wrong place at the wrong time? Or was NBA Youngboy being hunted by rivals, by law enforcement, or by the industry itself? 5 days after someone tried to take him out in a hail of bullets outside a Sunny Isles Beach hotel, rapper NBA Youngboy ended up back in a Louisiana jail cell. A judge in Baton Rouge ordered him locked up again, saying he might have violated his probation from a shooting 3 years earlier. District Judge Bonnie Jackson pointed to the shooting and the fact that Golden had been on social media talking trash and smack, which would have broken his probation rules.
That's him in the jacket right there. Shot.
Many believe this wasn't just a random act of violence, but an orchestrated ambush. Youngboy had already made a lot of enemies, both on the streets and in the industry. His independence, his refusal to play by the rules, and his raw, unapologetic persona made him a threat. He wasn't just another artist. He was a movement, an unstoppable force climbing the charts without the need for industry gatekeepers. Could it be that powerful figures wanted him out of the picture? And if so, how far would they go to make that happen? In an interview with Grammy.com, Youngboy opened up about how he balances his life as a full-time father and recording artist. This what makes it, and that's what creates everything about it, he told the publication. That's what makes it fun. That's what gives you the drive to get up and do more. I ain't never really satisfied. So that's why I am how I am. Miami-Dade police detectives started working with Baton Rouge police to untangle Golden's long history of beef with the rivals in the Louisiana city. NBA blew up in the rap game after dropping out of school in the 8th grade. By 2016, he had landed a $2 million deal for 5 albums with Atlantic Records.
Man, I was flooded with millions of dollars from the time I was 16 all the way to this point in my life.
But his rising career took a hit in November 2016 when police said he was one of 2 gunmen who opened fire from a car at a group of people on a Baton Rouge street. Detectives believe the shooting was payback for the killing of one of Golden's crew, Keandre Ricks, aka NBA Boosie, just hours earlier. During the gun battle, one of the passengers in the car got shot in the neck. Golden, who was just 17 at the time, was charged as an adult with 2 counts of attempted murder. He later pleaded guilty to aggravated assault with a firearm and was sentenced to 3 years of probation.
I don't like to gamble, but I like shooting dice. It's just like an everyday life, though, because you gambling, you rolling the dice. If go anywhere in the world, I will go to Fiji.
Despite that, he kept getting into trouble. While on tour, he was hit with a domestic violence indictment in a small Georgia town and picked up a misdemeanor charge for disorderly conduct. His lawyer later said the Atlanta charge had been dropped. Meanwhile, prosecutors in Baton Rouge kept pushing to get his probation revoked. According to the advocate, a judge scheduled a probation violation hearing for June. If things didn't go his way, Golden could have been looking at up to 10 years behind bars. Even more suspicious is how quickly the police swooped in, treating Youngboy like the mastermind of the entire incident. The way law enforcement built their case seemed conveniently aggressive, as if they had been waiting for the perfect moment to take him down. It's no secret that the justice system has a history of targeting young black men, especially those who wield influence over millions, and Youngboy was no exception. A street poet with an army of loyal fans who saw themselves in his struggle. Authorities knew that if they could control him, they could control his influence. But when intimidation didn't work, was it time to remove him entirely?
I used to really doubt myself. Like, I used to think this ain't gonna happen. I literally wanted to quit, and there been times that I quit for a short period of time, like a week, and be like, you know what? Like, I gotta start back on this shit, like, cause this what people.
Some conspiracy theorists argue that this wasn't just a street beef, but a calculated industry takedown. Youngboy wasn't moving like a pawn in the game. He was becoming the king, dictating his own terms in a world where major labels and executives wanted total control. Time and time again, history has shown what happens to artists who refuse to play by the rules. Tupac, Biggie, XXXTentacion. Could Youngboy have been next on the list? Was this shooting meant to be a warning or something even more sinister? The media played their role too, amplifying the most negative narratives and ensuring the public saw Youngboy as the problem. They didn't push the self-defense angle. They didn't question the suspicious timing. Instead, they painted the picture that would make the most headlines: rapper involved in deadly shooting. The story was already written before the investigation even began. He told me, "I wish they would have gotten me, not him," Manasseh told the Miami Herald on behalf of his client. While Youngboy expressed remorse over the incident, Manasseh insisted that his client was also a victim. He was the victim of an assassination attempt, the defense attorney added. But what if the real story was something they didn't want you to know? The Miami shooting wasn't just another night gone wrong. It was a crossroads. Would Youngboy become another statistic, another artist lost to violence and legal troubles? Or would he beat the system and expose the forces working against him? The Miami shooting should have been a wake-up call for NBA Youngboy. He was playing a game where the rules were stacked against him. But instead of retreating, he doubled down. He kept making music, kept breaking records, and kept proving that no amount of controversy could slow him down. That kind of resilience made him a problem for the people who wanted him gone. And so they came for him again. On September 28, 2020, Youngboy returned to his hometown of Baton Rouge, a city that had never truly embraced his success. It was supposed to be just another music video, another piece of raw storytelling brought to life. But before cameras could even start rolling, police descended on the scene like they had been waiting for the perfect moment. It wasn't a raid, it was a message. They rounded up Youngboy and 15 others, slapping them with charges related to DS and illegal firearms. Youngboy's name was already a favorite for law enforcement, but this wasn't just a local takedown. This had the fingerprints of something much larger, something orchestrated. The arrest wasn't just about guns or DS, it was about control. The system doesn't like when a young black artist from the streets rises to untouchable levels, and Youngboy was doing just that.
There is a lot of drama surrounding him and the guys that he associates with.
Then, 6 months later, the feds made their next move. On March 22nd, 2021, they caught up with Youngboy in Los Angeles, this time with a federal warrant tied to the Baton Rouge music video shoot. But this wasn't just another arrest. NBA served strict house arrest after a pair of arrests during a 2020 music video shoot. "I'm very scared right now," he said. "It's just natural. I'm not big on people. I never knew why once I walked on the stage, I could get it done and leave. But I'm terrified of people. People are cruel. This is a cruel place." He was indicted in March after he was allegedly caught possessing 2 guns, as 16 people were arrested on D and weapon charges while filming a music video in an abandoned lot.
There are individuals out there that started tossing their guns. Some started running. They were attempting to hide. There were a group of them that were attempting to hide.
In 2022, Youngboy was found not guilty of knowingly possessing a firearm during a separate arrest relating to a 2021 incident in Los Angeles. The rapper was pulled over by LAPD and was arrested after a brief foot chase when officers discovered a pistol underneath the passenger seat of his car. During that trial, a district court judge ruled to exclude the use of Youngboy's lyrics as evidence. If the previous cases weren't enough, the most bizarre and almost laughably unbelievable allegation against NBA Youngboy came in 2024. On April 16, 2024, he was arrested in Cache County, Utah, for allegedly masterminding a prescription fraud scheme, a charge that sounded more like a Hollywood script than reality.
Rapper NBA Youngboy was arrested this week at his Mill Creek home in what the Cache County Sheriff's Office is calling an ongoing investigation into criminal conduct.
According to reports, Youngboy was accused of impersonating doctors and using fraudulent identities to obtain controlled substances. Rapper NBA Youngboy and several of his associates orchestrated a large-scale prescription fraud ring to illegally obtain prescription DS from multiple Utah area pharmacies, police allege.
He is charged or is facing 63 charges for his alleged involvement in a large-scale prescription fraud.
An affidavit filed by an officer for the Cache County Sheriff's Office named the rapper as a primary suspect in a months-long scheme that involved posing as a doctor to fill prescriptions for promethazine with codeine, a controlled substance, in pharmacies in cities including Hiram, Logan, and Smithfield. The affidavit was filed 2 days after Golden was arrested on 63 charges, including counts for identity fraud, forgery, and procuring or attempting to procure prescription DEs, court documents reviewed by the Times said. Filed by Cache County Officer Tyson Nielsen, the affidavit outlines multiple instances dating from September 2023 to February 2024 of alleged identity fraud and attempts to obtain promethazine with codeine, a key ingredient used to make a cough syrup-laced drink commonly known as lean purple drank, and scissor.
The prescription of choice here, promethazine with codeine. It's a cough syrup described as a heavily abused Schedule 5 controlled substance.
On September 19, 2023, 2 pharmacies in the Cache County area received a prescription order from a person claiming to be a physician in Provo, and a person allegedly posing as the physician provided valid identifying information and requested to fill a prescription for 2 patients in their 70s, Bethel White and Gwendolyn Cox. In both instances, the real physician told the pharmacies that he did not have patients with those names and said his name and credentials are being used fraudulently. A third fraudulent prescription for the same D was allegedly called into a Smithfield pharmacy on Jamtown Scene 2024 again by the suspect identifying as the physician. The prescription was for a patient named Gwendolyn Cox, not Gwendolyn, with a different birthday. Pharmacists were suspicious about the request and attempted to reach the physician, but the call was disconnected, the affidavit says. The real physician later confirmed to the Smithfield pharmacy that he did not place the order and did not have a patient named Gwendolyn Cox. According to documents, Nielsen began investigating the alleged fraud scheme amid the January incident. 2 women allegedly arrived in a white Chevy Tahoe registered in Golden's name to pick up the prescription for a friend from the Smithfield pharmacy. Cache County police detained the unidentified women. They were later arrested for their alleged involvement in the prescription fraud ring.
Police have been investigating this dating back to September of 2023. Someone would call in a prescription, call it in under a fake name, or a physician who didn't authorize it. They would try to go pick it up then.
Nielsen said that amid his investigation, Gwendolyn Cox requested to get in touch. However, during the conversation, the caller allegedly offered White as a last name instead of Cox, and did not provide a full date of birth or a home address. During the conversation with Gwendolyn, it was very clear that a fake voice was being used, Nielsen wrote in the affidavit, before citing the caller's pronunciation of ask as ax, which he said is consistent with a Southern dialect in several states, including Gaulden's native Louisiana. Court documents detail an alleged conversation between Nielsen Gaulden and the rapper's brother, which included inquiries about the prescription medicine for Gwendolyn Cox. The affidavit also lists a handful of fraudulent activity under the Provo physician's name. All of them were prescription requests for promethazine with codeine for patients in their late 60s and 70s across Utah pharmacies. Several of the names are repeats, including combinations of first and last names with different birthdays, Nielsen said. The affidavit continued. Through evaluation of the fraud incidents, it is clear that there are numerous individuals involved to further the fraud scheme, identified as an enterprise. The ongoing fraud and suspected de-distribution occurring between Kentrell Gaulden and his associates further substantiates the pattern of unlawful activity, as they have engaged in at least 3 episodes of unlawful activity that are all similar in purpose, results, participants, victims, and methods of commission. Gaulden was arrested when Cache County officers executed a search warrant on his Utah mansion. Guests at Gaulden's home were also detained. In the home search, police found a gun the rapper claimed belonged to his wife, 2 bottles of the antibiotic doxycycline, one prescribed to Gaulden, another to a patient named Caroline White, and several bottles of promethazine with codeine, the affidavit says. Officers also seized all electronic devices in the home, for which Gaulden allegedly did not provide passwords. Nielsen alleged that the Grammy-nominated Need It rapper denied knowledge of any illegally possessed prescription and fraud schemes. According to the affidavit, Gaulden's previous run-ins with the law date to 2018, when he was arrested for alleged aggravated assault and kidnapping. He was arrested again in 2019 and 20. In March 2021, a federal grand jury indicted Gaulden, accusing the musician of possessing an unregistered firearm and of possession of firearms by a convicted felon in connection to his 20 case. Since October 1, he has been under house arrest in his home in Weber County. The affidavit concludes by alleging that Gaulden has participated in an ongoing criminal enterprise that has been involved in the commission of multiple felonies despite his house arrest. According to the FBI, Kentrell is the known leader of a violent gang from the Louisiana area. The affidavit continues. Based on Kentrell's history, it is apparent that he is prone to violence. So authorities stacked 63 separate charges against him, an absurd number that felt more like an attempt to ensure he never saw freedom again. This wasn't just about justice. This was about overwhelming him, drowning him in legal battles so deep that even the best lawyers couldn't dig him out. When you hit an artist with over 60 charges at once, it's not prosecution, it's persecution.
He was actually arrested here in Utah by the Cache County Sheriff's Office yesterday, suspected of running a large-scale prescription fraud ring. He's been charged with 63 counts, among them a slew of felony charges.
But let's address the elephant in the room. Does this even sound like something NBA Youngboy would do? Why would a multi-millionaire rap superstar, someone with access to anything he wanted, suddenly decide to take part in prescription fraud? What would he even gain from it? The story made no sense, and that's exactly why fans and conspiracy theorists alike started questioning whether this was yet another setup, another chapter in the never-ending saga to keep Youngboy behind bars. What makes this charge even stranger is the timing. By 12, Youngboy had been living a more secluded life in Utah, distancing himself from the chaos of his past and focusing on his music and family. He wasn't running the streets or making reckless moves. So why, right when he seemed to be settling down, did this massive case suddenly emerge? It almost seemed as if the system wasn't willing to let him live in peace. Some believe that this wasn't just law enforcement at work. it was an inside job. That people within Youngboy's own circle had betrayed him, feeding authorities the perfect excuse to come after him once again. One person wrote, "The way he said they got me really shows the intentions of the industry. They want to feed negativity into our ears, and he now understands the consequences of helping them." Others argue that Youngboy had become too powerful, too untouchable, and this was a last-ditch effort to control him. Because one thing was becoming undeniable. Every time Youngboy tried to break free, another case came crashing down to pull him back in. By this point, the pattern was impossible to ignore. The Miami shooting, the Baton Rouge arrest, and now a wildly suspicious fraud charge. The message was clear. NBA Youngboy was not meant to win. But what happens when a man refuses to be broken? If history has shown anything, it's that Youngboy has defied the odds before. But with 250 years of prison time hanging over his head, the real question is, how much longer can he outrun the system? NBA Youngboy has fought legal battles almost as intensely as he's fought for his career. From shootouts to staged raids to downright bizarre charges, his rap sheet reads more like a conspiracy than a criminal history. Is he really a menace to society, or is he just another young black artist the system wants to break? With 63 charges and the threat of 250 years looming over him, Youngboy's future has never been more uncertain. But if history tells us anything, it's that he won't go down without a fight. So what's next? Another case, another trial? Or will NBA Youngboy finally break free from the chains that keep pulling him back? Only time will tell.